Well, come on inside and get yourself something cool to drink.
And you say we talking to who?
Hey, Bachi.
You say we talking to who? Let me tap in with you for a minute. What the business is with you? Hey, man. I often make a joke. Calm down, y'all. Sit down. There's a lot of y'all in here. I often make a joke and I say, when you first start working for the Cowboys, they hand you a phone with a bunch of sources in it. That ain't completely accurate, but it's close. Okay. What does happen when you get involved like that is you meet like 4 people. And those 4 people branch off into like 90 people. I ain't got Stephen Jones' number. But I know somebody that got Stephen Jones' number. If that makes sense. I hope that's not a flex or anything.
Did you hear what I said? But
that's just where we are. I just want to lay a bed for y'all to kind of lay down in to understand where I'm coming from with this thing. You get certain reactions out of people depending on what kind of news is happening or like the validity of the news there. For example, when there was news in the off season about insert the name of a player. If the answer to that question was clearly no, one of my 4 or 5 branches of sources would get that answer back immediately, and they'll hit me back immediately, and they'll be like, nah, they're not looking at that guy. Well, we go, here's a great example right here. Christian Wilkins, right? Same team, by the way. Former Raider, D tackle. He's been a prolific player as of late. I say, sources. What's up with Christian Wilkins? And my different sources are from different, lands and departments or whatever. And it all branches out. And they'll get back to me quick on that. They'll be like, hey man, they think Christian Wilkins is too injured. Voch, they think Stephon Gilmore isn't the same player that he once was, and they don't want to get older at corner. I get them answers back fast. Nobody hit me up when we was trading for George Pickens. They left me on red and shit, When some serious stuff is going on, you don't really get answers back all that fast. I didn't get an answer back at all when the Micah news was going on. I didn't hear nothing when the Micah news was going on, right? I just want to lay this bed for y'all so y'all can know where we are as a family. Trey Wingo hops on his Twitter machine today. Let me run over there so I can see what Trey Wingo talking about. You know what I mean? Because tell Vegas to write brick on my brick regardless. You feel me? Tell Vegas write brick on my brick regardless. You feel me? Trey Wingo. Trey Wingo says, he tweeted about some whole other stuff that don't even make no sense. Don't even make no sense. Trey Wingo says, breaking. According to sources, the Dallas Cowboys have made inquiries with the Raiders about a potential trade for Maxx Crosby. First thing I did was I hit 3 of my sources. I say, hey man, what you think going on with that? And excitingly, but bad for my nerves, it took a minute for them people to get back. They eventually got back with me, but it took them people a little bit to get back. Okay. I would chill on this Maxx Crosby news, but you never know. I would chill on the Maxx Crosby news, but you never know. I found out where Wingo's source came from. I don't even know how. I don't know how my source found that one out. My particular anonymous character found that one, but I found out where Wingo was getting his news from, and it wasn't the Cowboys. So that's one thing. But the people that Wingo got his news from, they I wouldn't say that they're all that high up in Raiders organization. So maybe it's just a conversation that's being thrown around that building. Possibly. These would be people that would know if it happened, but I'm not positive that these are people that would know if it could be happening, if that makes sense. Then I look on social media and I see somebody that screen cap Trey Wingo following a whole bunch of Dallas Cowboys accounts. Now that particularly don't mean a whole bunch to me, because all of these dudes are friends and they get along in real life. Okay, I'll leave that part as it is. Important people over in Dallas can't confirm nor deny. We'll leave it at that. This don't seem to be as G14 classified as the pick and trade was, because I didn't hear nothing from nobody when the pick and trade was going on. I did hear something back, but it wasn't necessarily shot down, but it wasn't confirmed neither. You guys take that information and do with it whatever it is that you would like. But I wonder what it would take. I wonder what it would take to get Maxx Crosby. You know, I started to wonder about the compensation of the trade and what would that mean, and what would the Cowboys have to give up? And it's interesting because the past couple of weeks on all these post game shows I've done, I'm like, hey man, give up the pick. Give up the pick. It is what it is. I don't think you'll get 2 ones back from Maxx Crosby, because you just gave up. You just got back 2 ones for Micah. Max ain't Micah. And you know, Max costs a little bit of money that you're gonna have to do some fandangling with. It is what it is. If I had to make a guess, Max is like a 1 and a something. 1 and a 4 maybe, 1 and a 3 possibly. We don't have a 3 this year. They can have next year's 3 if they want to. Either way, I don't think Max is going to be stupid ridiculous. There are some people that was like, well, this don't make any sense. Why don't you just keep Micah if that's the case? Well, I don't think Micah got traded for the draft picks. I think Micah just didn't work out over here, and Micah just ain't getting along with the people over here. And what ended up happening is that, hey man, we might as well trade him and get something back for him. I think that those two things are different. However, you may not be happy, you know, giving up Micah Parsons, but if somebody would have said, hey, Voch, the trade was you give up Micah Parsons, but you get Maxx Crosby, Kenny Clark, and a first round pick back. And that's all right, man.
Did you hear what I said? Salute.
That's all right, because think about it like this, though, right? When the Micah thing first happened, we were having a conversation like, hey, man, Shasai does get Kenny Clark, but, man, I wish we could have got Rashawn Gary. If you'd have got Rashawn Gary, you'd have felt like this thing could have evened out a little bit. You know, not a whole bunch, but 2 ones and Rashawn Gary doesn't sound bad, because at least you get some bolstering back in your edge group. I think you trade Micah, you get back Maxx Crosby, you get to keep your 1, and you might, ain't no telling what the compensation could be a 2. We don't know. But if it even exists, I don't know. But you know, if you look at the trade like that, Micah Parsons for Maxx Crosby, Kenny Clark, and a first round pick, that's a winner to me. That's a winner to me, because at the end of the day, it's just cool to have bricks. It's just cool to have work in the trunk. This is 100% a right brick on my brick situation. A lot of people don't know what that means, but back in the day when the Cowboys was when they was losing and they had an early pick or whatever, right? Right brick on my brick is basically saying the price of the brick is going to fluctuate throughout the season. Once we're done in the regular season, the price of the brick will settle down a bit. And once the price settles down, and the drought is over, we'll have an official value and price for said bricks. And then once we have that, we can hit the streets and we can sell, we can break down and distribute, we could trade, we could, you could do whatever you want to do. But the point is, when you have more work, when you have more product, it gives you options. You understand what I'm saying? When you only have a first round pick in a year, it's only so much you could do to have this conversation. But if you got 2 first round picks, now we could talk a little bit. And you got 2 first round picks. You got 2 first round picks this year and next year. The price of the brick is stupid, and it's gonna forever fluctuate. It'll go up and down. We're in the middle right now, but it's fine. But at some point, the Vegas Raiders are trying to rebuild their block. They're trying to rebuild their block, and they're not rich now. The Raiders have ambitions. You know what the Raiders need? They need product. We have product. We have product. They do not. We simply are in the business of getting rid of the product in bulk at this point. You know what I'm saying? But you got options. You can still break it down and just do whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? You can still draft defense if you want to. You can draft defense if you like. But we're a more established neighborhood operation. So yeah, I could break this brick down and sell it on whatever block I want to. But if you come to me and says, hey, we need this product a lot more than you right now, whether we agree or we disagree, there's a price to you acquiring the product that I have. That's why draft picks are so important. Now, Jerry Jones said that, hey, we're open for business and these ones can be moved. Nothing is untouchable. Everything is in the realm of possibility. And immediately when he said that, I was just like,
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it. Not this time. No, not this time.
I was like, Dallas Cowboys, you ain't got to lie to me, man. You want to keep them first round picks. And if you trade, you'll trade one of them fives to go get like Will McDonald or something, or like Jermaine Johnson. You know, you'll go get Bradley Chubb or something like that. You'll trade a 4 to go get a younger version of those guys. You know, you ain't finna do nothing crazy. The Cowboys, you're not gonna do nothing crazy. I think the Cowboys, have experienced some win momentum. I think they win the trade when they get George Pickens for a third round pick. I think that's a W for the Cowboys, especially if they re-sign him. And honestly, I don't think re-signing George Pickens is keeping you from trading Maxx Crosby and getting that money. Because Max's money gonna hit immediately. George money ain't gonna hit till next year, and you got all the time in the world to get goofy ass money off your roster before you re-sign either one of them. That's facts. On top of the idea that Maxx is likely gonna be cheaper than Micah. Not even likely. Maxx is cheaper than Micah. You take a look at how the Cowboys played the Washington football Wizards. It was a bit inspiring. You know what I'm saying? It seems like, the Cowboys are moving in the right direction. Flus has to get out of his way. Flus has got to do everything in his power to get the hell out of his way. It just is what it is. But he called a little bit more man. He stopped calling gap exchanges, but he did call more man. And the Cowboys seem to look a little more competent on defense, calling a little bit more man. Now, wide receivers are only going to get better from here, but it is a start. Jadeveon Clown is improving. Overshown to be coming back. He's in his 21-week window. We don't know when it's going. This week, next week, week after. More than likely, not this week. That's what the people say, right? All I saw versus the Washington football Wizards was, hey, coverage looked a little bit better. Run game, once we hunker down and stack the box like we were supposed to, that looked a little better. But at the end of the day, you got a little bit of pass rush on Jaden Daniels. You could use a lot more in the pass rush department. Need I say more? Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate y'all for tapping in with me, man. I love y'all two pieces. Y'all tell me what y'all think about this Maxx Crosby thing. How does he fit? Of course, he fits right in. We ain't got to talk about that. That's nonsense. And what do y'all think the compensation is? And hey, like I say, it ain't real. It ain't real until I see it. It ain't real until I see it. But we have ingredients and we have product. We'll hit the streets and everything gonna be all right. But if anything is official, then I'll go live and we'll talk about this officially. We'll break it down for real. All right. Love y'all to pieces, man. Tap in with y'all next time. All right. Peace.